Hello everybody, and thanks for joining in today. We are going to do a practice that really starts with noticing and slowing down, and then we're going to build into a lot of warmth and much more movement. And that may not sound different from what we normally do, but each time we start to really slow down and notice, you are honing your internal body awareness. And this is how you'll progress, but it's also how you'll keep from any kind of injury as you, not just with yoga, but just doing your life. Okay, so we're going to spend just a moment here, and we're going to be in different positions. So just sit for just a moment and just feel yourself arrive. And just checking in with yourself, and I'm checking in with you. Hands to the heart, namaste. And let's go ahead and move now onto our mats. If you haven't already done that, we're going to just come into a position with the legs extended in front. And you're going to have a little bend in your knee. It's absolutely fine. What you want to do is just reach underneath your knees and just soften as much as you can. So you want your legs parallel. So just check the alignment first. Your legs parallel with each other, and then just softly and gently begin to release. In whatever position is comfortable, you can clasp around your own knees. I like to just wrap my arms around the knees and just rest my hands on the floor. So just find a position where you can actually go inward for just a few breaths here without any discomfort. And so in this position, just feel yourself beginning to settle. And feel that sort of cocooning feeling of just this slight forward bend. Let your breath become long and slow. Let your chin maybe relax a little more towards the chest if you don't want any tension at all in your neck. Just let that head go heavy. And start to feel the lengthening and the softening of your breathing. Just notice if there's any tension you're holding on to, and see if you can release that with your next exhale. And then gently root down through your feet a little bit, and let's come on up to a more vertical position in your torso. And then draw your knees, your thighs slightly inward, so your feet are going to come a little closer. And then just wrap your arms around your own shins, so you're at slightly more vertical posture, and you feel a slightly different sensation in your spine. And let's just let go here. And this is when it's okay to completely round, well, as much as your back wants you to do. And you can just let your shoulder blades round outward. Let your chin again come to the chest, and start to feel the slightly different sensations as you let go into more of a rounded spine here. You can feel the feet anchored to the floor. So you feel some solidness in this posture. And again, you're feeling everything, but you're also really focusing on the long, slow breaths. And just have 3 long, slow breaths just in this position here. Make sure you're finishing the exhale completely. And then as you transition, you're rooting a little more into your heels, into your sits bones, and you're just rising up in the heart. And then you're going to stretch the legs out, nice easy staff pose, Dandasana. And then from here, go ahead and bring the left heel back towards the sits bone so your left knee is bent. We're going to have an easy seated twist, but I want you to really go inward and see what it is your body wants to do right now. So you only go into it as much as you want. First thing is you want a nice anchoring. So left knee's bent, you want to put those left fingers back, probably tinted in some way so you can keep your torso nice and vertical. It can be so easy where you just clasp on to the outside of that knee. And you're breathing into it. As you inhale, you're pressing from the sits bones to the crown of the head. And as you exhale, you're just coming over just a little bit and see how it feels. So we're just starting movement now. You really want to proceed with your full awareness. Now, if you want a little bit more, you can, with those left fingers really anchoring, you can let go in the right arm so you can reach up and really stretch up. And then come over and you can bind a little bit with that right elbow on the outside of the left knee. If this feels like more than what you want to do, or it just doesn't feel very good to bind, please just this is all that's necessary to do a twist. And so whichever version you've chosen, you're still breathing into it. You're inhaling and feeling the length, and you're exhaling. And you're just blooming into that twist just as much or as little as you'd like. And when you find the full expression for your body today, you're just going to have another long, slow breath. And then on an inhale, you just release out of that. Stretch the leg back out. And let's do the exact same thing on the second side. So you want that right heel nice and close into the hip, or as close as is comfortable. The right hand now is going to be your anchoring hand. And just see what your body would like to do on this side. So you're beginning, you want to feel like those extended, the left leg now, the toes are pointing up to the ceiling. So that leg is active. And you want to feel a rootedness through the bent leg foot, really anchored down to the floor. You're pressing into those TP'd fingers on the right hand. You're getting tall. And then you start your twist. And so just like on the other side, your awareness is wide open and you're trying to see, what is it that my body needs right now? Does it need just a tiny little movement? Or do you really want to go into the twist a little bit more? Does that feel good? And when you find it, you're going to have another long, slow breath. And then you're going to slowly release out of it. You stretch the leg out. And we're all going to come down to the floor now. So use this transition so you can really draw that tummy in as you come down. And when you first come to the floor, just go ahead and extend the legs. Go ahead and extend the arms. Any little movement or stretch you want is fine. But you're going to settle for just a few breaths in the corpse pose. And when you get there, I just want you to feel the heaviness of the body and the solidity of the body, and just feel how stable you are lying on the floor, just like this. And then see, can you, still extending your breath to at least a 6 count on inhales and exhales, can you feel any warmth in the body? Can you get a sense of your heart pumping blood through the body? Maybe you could even get a sense of the lymphatic system doing its job, circulating lymph fluid. And of course, once we start moving more, all that's going to happen more. But I want you to have this starting point and really feel how solid your body is on the floor. And maybe you can feel a little bit of fluid movement happening on its own. And then from this position, just bend your knees and have the soles of the feet on the floor. And it changes the position slightly, but I want you to really feel the spine on the floor. And then from there, just bring the feet off the floor and bending the knees. And the position's still very stable, but maybe a little bit less so because you don't have so much of your body on the floor. Just feel these subtle little movements. As you exhale next, you can use your hands to help or not, whatever feels best. But you're going to try to bring those thighs a little closer in towards the body. And on an inhale, you're going to allow the legs, or actually energetically move the legs up so they're more in an extended position. But I want you to move out through the heels, press out through the heels when you get there. If you want, when you're in this position, you can clasp around the outside of the backs of the knees. When you exhale, you're bringing those thighs closer in towards your body, and then you can use your hands on top of the shins to assist without forcing, just assist to get those legs, the thighs nice and close into the body. Flex your feet. As you inhale, moving the legs back up again. Nice long 6 count on the inhale. Press out through the heels. Feel the action in the legs. As you exhale, you're bending the knees, drawing those thighs closer into the body, and feeling the effects on your spine when you do that. Inhaling again, stretching the legs up, really reach up through the heels. And as you exhale, bending the knees, encouraging those thighs to come a little closer in. And one last time, inhale, stretch up, press out through the heels. And exhaling, again, bending the knees, drawing those thighs in towards the body. And this time on the inhale, you're just going to put the soles of your feet on the floor and place them nice and close in towards the hips, towards your sits bones. And the arms are just going to be extended alongside your body. Just have one little moment where you have a long, slow breath and just notice anything you're feeling. And the next time you begin movement, we're going to just do a little pelvic tilt, and you're going to keep your arms right alongside the body. I'm going to move mine up so you can see. On the inhale, you're going to roll on your tailbone, and the sits bones are going to end up pointing right behind your heels or thereabouts. And of course, this creates a bit of airspace in the lumbar spine. As you exhale, you're going to press the low back into the floor. And you're rolling on the opposite direction on your tailbone, and the sits bones point up in the direction behind your knees somewhere. So I want you to just feel this another couple of times. As you inhale, you're rolling on the tailbone. Notice how it changes the position of your spine. As you exhale, you're pressing the low back into the floor, and your sits bones curl up a little bit and point behind the knees, just like that. Nice, long, slow breaths. So that the next time you've exhaled and the low back is flush with the floor, on your next inhale, just like a wave, you're going to raise those hips off the floor, press into the feet evenly, press into the whole of the arms, and just come up as high as your body wants to do. You're keeping the neck long. And as you exhale, you lower back down again. And try to feel a wave-like quality in the movement. Continue that. And when you come back down, you're going to inhale and roll on the tailbone again. And then exhale, coming back to that position where you're rolling again on the tailbone, but the low back is flush into the floor. And that's when you rise up yet again into that wave-like quality of bridge pose. Rising up. Remember, you can tuck your chin just a little bit. It might help the back of your neck to stay long. Press and come up as high as is comfortable.
And as you exhale, you're releasing back down again. And just try to focus on this movement with your breath. Just a few more times. You're trying to set the spine sequentially back on the floor. It actually takes a lot of your focus to do that. Once the hips are back down, you're just going to continue to roll onto the tailbone in that lovely wave position. And it's after you conclude the exhale, you're poised and ready on the next inhale to lift back up again into your bridge pose. So this is all happening on nice, long, slow 6-count breathing. You've got plenty of time for this movement. Laying the back down again. And then remember, once you come back to the floor, you're doing another full pelvic tilt before you lift back up again on the inhale. Right after that exhale phase, you're going to lift. You're going to lift and press into those feet, press into the whole length of your arms. And then we're going to try to hold this bridge pose, maybe for 3 long, slow breaths. When you get here, and you're going to hold, it might be good to try to walk your arms and shoulder blades a bit more underneath you. And remember to keep the neck long. So let the head slide back and the chin come towards the chest. And so whatever works for your body, some of us might need to come down a little lower with our hips. But if your body allows it, you want to come up as high as you can now and be able to sustain it. Have 3 long, slow breaths. If you're already in the pose and breathing, just make sure you have 3 breaths before you come out of the pose again. Focus on all those sensations. Your body's already starting to warm up just by holding this. Your breath is long and slow. Yes, you feel the challenge, but you can handle it and your breath doesn't change. And when you are ready to come down, just come down a little bit so that you can move your shoulder blades back out a little bit, your arms back out, and then you can again lay sequentially the spine right down on the floor. And once you get there, go ahead and bring one thigh closer in towards the body, stretch the other leg out, long, slow breath. And then change sides. Long, slow breath. Just a tiny pause now with both soles of the feet on the floor. Can you notice any difference in the body? Are you noticing any more warmth, any more flow in the body? Just a little bit we've done. And now we are going to come up nice and slow. We're going to come up to the hands and knees position. And so you're going to put the hands under the shoulders, knees under the hips, of course, and you want your head in line with the rest of the spine. Feel the weight placement so it really feels like a strong pose. You're not challenging the wrists in any way. In fact, take a little look down. Make sure the wrist crease is pointing straight ahead. It's not pointing out to the side. And then you can feel the weight come a little more into the inner hand from this position. See if you can incorporate Ujjayi breath. And so Ujjayi breath is the ocean sound. And we're going to try to come back to that throughout the practice. So on your next inhale, you want to feel the breath coming in right at the back of the throat, making a sound like the ocean when it does that, without opening your mouth. On the exhale, same thing. You feel that breath coming out right at the back of the throat. See if you can keep that ocean sound, that Ujjayi sound. On your next inhale, you're going to rise up in the heart. Lead the way with the chest, and then rise up in the tailbone. As you exhale, try to lead the movement with the tailbone. And then, of course,
right? You'll feel the tummy button draw in, and then you'll feel the rounding of the rest of the spine, and the chin comes towards the chest. You can push into the hands a little bit to enhance. As you inhale, you're rolling back into the cow position, feeling the chest move first, lifting up, tailbone moves. Are you still doing Ujjayi breath? As you exhale, initiate that movement with your tailbone. It starts to tuck under, curl under rather, and then the tummy button pulls in, rest of your spine rounds even more, and chin comes towards the chest. So just like this, back and forth, long 6-count breathing. And you can hear that slight ocean sound in your own breathing. So if you slow the breath down, you've got loads of time for the movement, so that's what you're going for. And the next time you exhale and you've rounded, begin just to bring the hips back. So as you inhale, hips are coming back and you're feeling the spine lengthening. You're going to reach right forward with the arms as far as you can go comfortably. And you can always adjust your arm position once we begin the movement. So we're in extended child's pose. Arms are extended as fully as you can. On your next inhale, you're going to pull the arms, or rather pull the floor towards you. You're going to try to keep your heart and your tummy as close to the floor as your body allows. And when the elbows bend, you're going to make sure they bend towards the floor. They're not going out to the sides, right? So as you inhale, you're just pulling forward all the way where your hips come through, and you're coming into an upward facing dog, curling as upward as your spine allows. And as you exhale, you want to feel that abdominal contraction, and the tailbone then can safely pull you right back into the extended child's position. Just like this, you're breathing long, slow breaths. Hopefully you can still hear Ujjayi in your own breathing. Pulling forward as you inhale, curling up as much as you can with the heart and the head. And then on the exhale, going right back with a nice, strong, firm core into extended child's pose. And so wherever you are in this process, the next time you inhale, we're going to hold this pose for a few breaths or as long as you can. You're going to come into the upward facing dog. And from this upward facing dog, you're going to really feel the solidity in your lower body. You're going to feel those legs, wherever they're touching, they're really pressing into the floor. You're going to feel strength in the arms, so the inner elbow creases are trying to move forward, so you can broaden your collarbones. The strength in the pose is coming from your legs. You're pressing into those legs. Long, slow breaths. Feel the challenge. If it's uncomfortable or painful, you'll need to come out of the pose. But see if you can hold it for another breath otherwise. And slowly, with control in your abdominal core, you're going to push right back again into the extended child's position. Very nice. And then from here, we're going to come up one more time into the tabletop position with your hands one hand length further ahead. We're going to curl the toes under, and you're going to push right into the downward facing dog. And have any little movement you'd like. And from the downward facing dog, we're going to start or walking feet closer to our hands closer to our feet. We're going to come into a really comfortable forward bend position. So have your feet as close or as far away from each other as is comfortable for you to hold this forward bend for a little while. So just a few breaths, but I want you to really be able to drape the upper body over those legs. So your knees are as generously bent as you need to really hold yourself firm here. So you feel the solidness in the bottom of your feet all the way through the heels. The legs are doing work, but your upper body is just draping over those legs. And come back to the Ujjayi sound in your breath. Nice ocean quality sound. And then really go inward and start to feel the breath in your body in this position. So that as you inhale, you do feel just naturally the torso just lifts, the chest might lift just a tiny bit away from those thighs. And when you exhale, it might imperceptibly go a little closer towards the thighs. So I want you to notice the natural movement of the breath in the body against your spine, and try to stay out of the way of that movement. So you're not actually making it happen. You're just breathing so fully, and you're aware of the breath in the body. So you just become more and more in tune to your own breathing. And then we are going to come up to standing from here. So I want you to really think about the stability as you're moving. You're shifting your weight slightly more back into your heels. It's absolutely fine. Bend the knees a little more, and you can put one hand on top of the other, and we're all going to end up in Tadasana. So nice and slowly here, come to standing. So coming into your Tadasana pose now. You know exactly how to do this. Of course, you feel it first in the feet. You feel the stability, but also feel the strength and the power in this pose. And if all of us, once we come into Tadasana, just place our hands right on our lower abdomen, mid-lower abdomen, just both hands. And defocus your eyes and just have long, slow breaths with your hands right on your belly. And as you inhale, just feel the slight swelling of your belly as you inhale. And when you exhale, you feel it draw in just a little bit. It's fine to gently push your hands into the belly to encourage. You're not forcing, it's just a little pressure. So at that, when you inhale, you feel the belly move into the hands. When you exhale, you might feel that the hands rather move into the belly a little more. Just breathe in and out, just like this. Maybe you can come back to Ujjayi breath. And in yoga tradition, the belly is the seat of fire. And this includes, of course, the fire of converting our food into energy. But it's also, on a deeper level, the seat of personal transformation. So it's the fire of will and determination. And it's creating our will, or forming our will into action. So this is such an important part of the body in yoga tradition. Very good. And then release your arms. And still in your mountain pose, the next time you inhale, just inhale the arms up, reach up high, stretch, feel the extension. As you exhale, bend the knees generously, drape forward. You're coming in to a nice, easy forward bend, almost like a squat. You definitely want to bend in the knees. You want maybe your feet, at least a foot or a foot and a half apart from each other, so that as you inhale, the legs stay relatively where you are. You're going to come into a chair pose. So it's the torso, the core, and the arms that are doing the work of movement. The legs are doing the work of stability. As you exhale, with the core engaged, you're coming back into the arms, upper body draped over the legs. As you inhale, you're sweeping back up into chair pose. Try to keep those legs steady. Again, the movement's happening in the torso and the arms, and of course the core. As you exhale, you release the body over, upper body over those legs. Nice long slow breaths. You've got plenty of time for these movements. As you inhale, you're reaching up into your chair pose. And as you exhale, you're releasing down. And as you inhale next into your chair pose, we're going to try to hold this for a few breaths. So you can perfect it any way you'd like. What you want is the legs are really strong, more weight into the heels, and you want that feeling, yes, of challenge, but also feel your own strength in the body. When you inhale, maybe a tiny bit more length diagonally in the front of the body. And as you exhale, you feel the core hugging in three-dimensionally. Not just the front tummy, but the side and the back body as well. And start to feel the heat building up in the body as you hold this chair pose. The next time you exhale, let's release back into our forward bend. And just rest here in forward bend for just a breath or two. We're going to change the movement just a little bit. It's going to be a little bit more complex and just a little bit more movement here. So from this forward bend, on an inhale, just start to walk your hands forward. We're going to come into the plank pose. And then as you exhale, you're leaning back more or less into a downward facing dog, but at the same time, you're walking your hands back towards your feet into what ends up being another forward bend. Bend the knees as you inhale right back into the chair pose. Nice long slow breaths as you exhale, coming into the chair pose, the forward bend. As you inhale, walk into the plank pose and hold that with all the alignment that you know how to do. And as you exhale, hips go back, but you immediately start walking the hands back towards the feet until you get into a nice comfortable forward bend. You'll need to bend your knees, drape the body, upper body over the legs. And inhale into your chair pose. On the exhale, back into the forward bend. And on the inhale, walk into your plank pose. You're holding this for another breath, and then you're just exhaling, coming back again into the movement. And then on your next exhale, you're gonna just anchor into your forward bend as much as you can, so that on the inhale, you're really strong in your chair pose. And exhaling into the forward bend. And one last time, let's inhale into the plank pose. And slowly, knees to the floor. Let's all come in to pose of a child. First, let's have our double fists, or our forehead has a little pillow to rest on. Oh, and have your breath be long and slow. In fact, here we are, we're all at home. Let's have a really big sighing sigh as we exhale. Big inhale. and then let it go. And let's try to make our forehead to the floor now. So just have a little experiment here. Can you bring your forehead to your double hands? And hopefully that's okay. If it is, we're going to try to put our forehead right onto the floor. If you're not able to do that, it may be really good to stop the video, get a brick or even a nice hardback solid book and place your forehead on that surface, okay? Because you will need to be able to have your forehead on a surface because your arms are going to be right back crossed over your lumbar spine. So that as you inhale next from here, we're going to push into the shins, push into the knees, reach up and really get length. As you exhale, you're going to come into a twist from the navel up, arms front to back. As you inhale, reach up, feel the length, and as you exhale, right over to the other side. So it's a twist, but you're also trying to really open up from breastbone to either arm. Inhaling, reaching up, and exhaling, just folding the tummy over your thighs. Nice long slow breaths, it gives you more time. And then as you inhale, you're pushing off, reaching up, and exhaling into the twist to the right. Inhaling into real spinal extension here, and exhaling over to the left. Looking back if that's comfortable. Inhaling, reaching up, and exhaling. With control, you just float to the floor. Resting the forehead on that surface. And preparing one more time, reaching up. And exhaling, twist to the right. Feel the length in the arms. Inhaling, spinal extension. And exhaling over to the left. One more time, reach up. Really make this the best stretch you've had all day. And then let's exhale, floating back to the floor again. Forehead to the floor, hands right on your lumbar spine. And then release that low back as much as you can. And hips towards the heels as much as they'll go. Have just 2 more long, slow breaths here. And then bringing your arms down to the sides of the body, and you're going to lift yourself up again. Now from here, we're going to probably do one of the most difficult little sequences in the whole of the class. So I want to caution you to really use this internal awareness that you're developing more and more, and really see how far you can go. All of us can do at least 1 repetition. Many of us can do several. So let's just see how we go. From here, we're going to come to tabletop. And then we're going to bring our hands 1 hand length further ahead. We're going to flex our toes under, and we're going to come into downward facing dog. So just take that moment you need to perfect your downward facing dog. Any little movement you need. Make sure all that you know about downward facing dog is in place, and what that means is you've got weight more on the inner hands. And you've got those inner elbow creases trying to go forward a little bit. So that means the biceps try to spin forward, triceps try to spin back. With this arm position, we're going to slowly start to come into plank pose. Make sure all of that's holding, that you feel the arms isometrically are really strong. And then come on back to the downward facing dog. On your next inhale, you're going to breathe that right leg right up into a bit of a 3-legged dog, but have a nice stretch. As you exhale, you're going to start to sweep the leg under, but you're
also coming forward into a little bit of a plank type pose as you try to bring that knee towards the right knee, towards your right elbow. And then you're going to inhale, come back out to a stretched position. As you exhale, you're going to try that again. You're coming into the body is coming forward like into a plank. You're really strong in the arms, but this time you're going to crisscross and that knee is going to try to come over towards your left elbow. And then you're going to inhale, come on back again. Now, if that's as much as you can do, that's fine. At least you've done one. If you can do more, let's try it. As you're exhaling, arms are strong, and you bring the knee towards the same side elbow. As you inhale, it goes back. As you exhale, again, arms are strong, and the knee tries to come to the opposite elbow. Really strong core work. Inhale, coming back. Exhale, elbow to the knee. Knee to the elbow, same side. Inhale, stretch. And on the exhale, you're crisscrossing over. This really takes core work to do it properly. And you're inhaling, stretching back. Go ahead and come into your downward facing dog. One more time, stretch the right leg back. As you exhale, you're going to attempt to step it all the way through now. So if you can only get to here, then you can just place that right foot between your hands. Find your high lunge. If all is well, you're going to put a little more weight into the left arm so that right arm is free. And you're going to inhale. We're going to come up, but you're actually going to point that arm forward of your head. As you exhale, you're going to bring the arm up so you can come into more of a twist. So you're revolving your chest as much as you can as you exhale and bring the arm up. As you inhale, you're pointing that arm straight over the head, looking down if you want to, wherever is comfortable for you to look. It's as you exhale, so you can revolve the torso a little bit. You're bringing the arm up. Inhale, stretching and pointing that arm forward. And exhaling, coming into the twist. And the next time you inhale and you've pointed forward, as you exhale, you can just windmill the arm down. And there you are. You can pull the leg back. And let's just have a brief little pose of a child in between sides. So nice, long, slow breathing here. Just make sure you're breathing right into your low back. Make sure all is well. So obviously the real key to that sequence is core work. Of course, your arms do have to be strong, but especially with the crisscross position, you've got to have really strong abdominal core work going on. So let's try it again on the second side. Again, if you just do one little repetition, it's fine. So coming into downward facing dog. And from your downward facing dog, the left leg lifts up. As you exhale, really strong work. You can already feel those upper arms trying to isometrically get closer, and the knee comes towards the elbow on the same side, and you inhale, reach back with a nice stretch. As you exhale, really strong core as the knee comes over towards the opposite elbow. And just like this, maybe you can do it a couple more times, and maybe you can't. You let your body show you the way. So of course, the slower you go, the harder it is. To do it properly, it really takes focus. And then the next time, when you've finished all the reps that you'd like to do with that crisscross movement, we're going to step through. The next time you exhale, the leg doesn't get there. You can just place it there.
And make sure all is well in your lunge. You can wiggle around and perfect the pose. When you've done that, you're going to lean a little more weight into the right hand and arm so your left arm is free, and you can breathe it up and point it right over your head. It's when you exhale, you lift the arm and you can revolve your chest. Make sure that bent knee doesn't try to splay out when you do that. So there's a lot to put your focus on as you inhale, pointing that arm and stretching it forward. As you exhale, coming back into the twist. Inhale, reaching forward, and exhaling, coming into your twist. Last one. So really get your mind and body together here and feel what's happening with every breath and every movement. And the next time you've inhaled and pointed forward, you can just exhale and come on back down again. Very nice. And from here, come back to the downward facing dog. And knees to the floor. Double fists and just have a very brief child's pose. And the intention is to let the breath become really long and slow again. It may have got a little jagged in that sequence, but you also really want to come home to yourself here. Get really centered. And when you've done that, we're all going to come forward. And we're going to have our legs extended, very much like we started. You can have a soft little bend in the knee. It's absolutely fine. So from this position, you're going to inhale and you're going to reach the arms up, upward Dandasana. As you exhale, you're just going to fold over as much as you can. Nice, long, slow breath. So your body has time to come into the position safely. As you inhale, you're going to lift up again. As you exhale, you're going to bring the arms back, circle them right back, and then you can put the hands on the floor. So that as you inhale, you're going to lift into reverse plank. Put your head back if it's comfortable, or hold it if it's not. Hold it steady, looking forward. As you exhale, you're coming back down into the seated position so that you can inhale, reach up, and exhale, fold into your seated forward bend. Inhale, reaching up, and exhale, circling the arms around. As long as this is comfortable for your shoulders, you're going to come right into the hands with your weight so you can lift the body up on the inhale into a reverse plank. Exhaling, releasing the hips down. Inhaling, reaching the arms up. And exhaling, folding over. Nice, easy, subtle forward bend. Inhaling, reaching the arms up. And exhaling, trying to circle around as best your shoulders allow you to do. So you get yourself situated so that on the inhale, you can lift up into the reverse plank. And exhale, release. One last time, inhale, reach up. And exhale, fold right into your seated forward bend. And just pause there for a couple of breaths. Nice and easy. Now we're going to bring our torso to vertical. Sit down just a little bit more. Reach the hands back. Have a little look. Make sure your elbows are pointing straight back. As you exhale, you can lean into the hands a little bit. Bring your feet off the floor and the shins are parallel to the floor. As you inhale, can you come back, lean into the elbows on the floor and straighten the legs? As you exhale, come on back, lift the elbows off the floor and put the hands back and bend the knees again. Really, really drawing in on your abdominal core as you do that. As you inhale, elbows go back and maybe you can straighten the legs. As you exhale, coming back into the hands as you lift the elbows and bend the knees. And inhaling, elbows come to the floor and you straighten those legs. Exhaling, coming into the hands, a little bit of a bend in that knee, both knees. And one last time, inhale, leaning into the elbows and straightening the legs. Fingertips to the floor and bring yourself back up again. Now hopefully our cores are really warmed up now. And I want you to do whatever version of boat pose Savasana feels right. If I can refresh you on the options. You can actually keep your hands to the floor, little fingertips a little behind the hips, and just lift your toes with the heels on the floor. And if your back feels compromised in any way, this is what you want. And so your work in the pose would be pressing into the arms, getting the collarbones nice and broad, and you want to feel a focal point of pressing into the sits bones and the heels. Every time you exhale, you're really drawing the tummy button in. Really safe way to start to build core strength if you don't quite have it yet. Of course, the second option would be to take the hands right around the outside of the knees and cup them under, and then you would come right up with the feet elevated and the shins parallel to the floor. And then you could also just not hold onto the knees. That takes a lot more strength and really hard to talk while you're doing that. And see where you are and what you can sustain for maybe another 3 breaths. Just work with this. And remember, you really want to feel whatever version you've chosen, you really want to feel that core drawing in. Making sure that stays nice and strong. And feel the heat you are still creating in your body. You can release that when you need to. As the feet touch the floor, hopefully the legs are extended just a little bit. And can you broaden out in the knees? Feet can stay together. It's a nice little diamond shape, but really loose. The heels are not close into the groins. It's nice and separated. It's going to be a really, really easy closing for the more difficult poses. So you want to get some length from the sits bones to the crown of the head. And then as you exhale, let's just release over. It can be an inch. You can put your hands wherever they're comfortable. You can drape around the feet, or you can even cup your elbows and forearms around the outside of your knees, whatever really feels comfortable, where you can just let go for a few breaths here. Just allow the breath to be long and slow. And then slowly, you can use a little bit of your arm strength to come up safely. Coming back up again, bringing the knees together. Coming into a nice strong staff pose, Dandasana, for just a moment. Feel the weightlessness in your spine. And then let's cross the ankles and come on over to the front of the body. We're going to do a really, really easy pigeon pose now. So if you don't have a blanket, you might want to grab one just for a little bolster now. So we all know pigeon pose. We're going to come into it so easy. From tabletop, sorry, my mat isn't cooperating very well today. So, from your tabletop position, all you're going to do is bring the right knee a little closer in to the right wrist, and then that right foot and shin points out to the left, and just start to walk on the back leg, on the knee, the top of the foot, until you get as close to the floor as your body wants, and with that right hip. If you need a little bolster, that's what the blanket's for. So you want, if you have a little check, make sure your pelvis and hips are level. So remember, if you don't have a blanket, what's going to happen is you're going to crash down like that. Well, you don't want that. So make sure you have something to really even up your hips here. If all this is okay, you might want to just bend and extend the back knee a few times. If that's just not accessible at all, it's fine, but you're not trying to do anything other than move that knee, flex and extend the knee in the back a little bit. And then press into the hands, lift the heart. And as you exhale, just walk the arms, the hands forward, and maybe come onto the elbows. You don't have to come any lower than that, unless your body's just craving it, and in which case, please do. But just come low enough that you can really release for 3 breaths here. And make sure you've got the 6 count inhale and exhale. And then you're trying to release as much as you can in a short period of time, letting go. And when it's time to come up, remember you want to use your arm strength, and you're just reversing out the exact same way you went in, from backwards though, and then you're going back into tabletop. Then you're going to shift your bolster over to the other side. From tabletop, nice and easy, you're just going to move your left knee more towards the left wrist, a little behind it. The foot and the shin on that left leg just points out to the right, and then you can walk the knee and the top of the foot on that back leg as close to the floor as you can. And then when that happens, you're going to bring that bolster right underneath your left hip, and there you are, you've done it. And from this position where your arms are supporting you, your torso is still quite vertical, just see, can you bend and extend the back knee a little bit, or the back leg? So the knee is bending, yes, and flexing and extending. And just see what that does. And then you press into the hands, lift your heart. And after that, we can release. So walking the hands a little bit more forward, onto the elbows possibly. Maybe you make a double fist and just lay your forehead there. And just find the position where you can release fully for 3 long, slow breaths. And now see if you can notice that the Ujjayi sound, instead of powering you up, it's actually has a meditative quality as well, depending on how you're using the breath and how you're moving in poses. So just notice that if you can, again, do your Ujjayi breath, that it actually feels like it's just bringing you into stillness now. Just so gently, we're starting to move now. You put your hands down. Your arms are just part of your anchor as you come back up again, reversing out. And then one last time, let's all have a downward facing dog. And it's just for the purpose of stretching here.
Nice sounding sigh when you exhale. And let's all now come to our knees and transition again onto our backs. Well done, you're nearly there. All the hard work is over for this session. Coming onto the floor. When you get there, let's have a good big stretch. Any way you'd like to. And once you've had your stretch, bend the knees and separate just slightly your feet a little bit wider than your hips, or at least as wide. Just have a few breaths where you're exhaling, knees go over to one side. And as you inhale, they come back to center. And slowly they're exhaling over to the other side. So have your breath again be long and slow, and then the movement is just following your own breathing. And you want to give this maybe 3 or 4 repetitions on each side. And when you feel complete with that, it's on an inhale. When the knees are back at center, you can bring those feet a little closer together. Just have one more little half wind relieving pose as the right thigh comes into the chest. You're going to stretch the left leg out. And as you exhale, you're encouraging the right bent thigh a little closer in towards the body. And just have another breath there. And then we're going to switch sides. Right sole of the foot to the floor so the left thigh can come up towards the body. And then you can stretch the right leg out. As you exhale, encourage that left thigh nice and close into the body. And once you've done that, just have another really long, slow breath. Enjoy that little stretch and all the sensations that happen just from this simple movement. And then release. And from here, if you would like to do any final little stretch or movement, please do that now. And with the view just to let your body totally let go in your Savasana pose. So anything you need is it's time to do it now, so that you can just release your body to the floor. And you want to feel the heaviness when you first get there. You know what to do. In fact, the more we do Savasana, the better we get at it, and the faster we can get into the real relaxation of it, almost immediately. So as your body gets heavy, just do a quick little scan. Make sure that you're not holding on to tension anywhere. And of course, if you can, you want to release that if you're holding on to tension. And all of us do it from time to time. It's just usually our habitual patterns. So release as best you can. And just enjoy the feeling of surrender for just a few more breaths. And just notice that your breath is already slowing down, all by itself. And just for a few breaths, just start to notice that little interval after your exhale. So just notice that that little interval might become a little bit longer the more you settle and the more you relax. And so today we are actually just going to end in Savasana. If you want to continue with Savasana, of course you can. Otherwise, folded hands, and just place your hands to your forehead for a breath. And then right down to your heart. Nice big inhale. And just exhale. Little whispered sound. Namaste.